we spent a couple hours on the space this morning with Stephen, so I'm a bit burnt. Hey, Pierce.
Hey, Sean.
Expanded to serve you better. Oregon Urology Institute recently added a new clinic to
What's going on there, Bear?
Springfield.
Oh, nothing much. I
went
and visited my wife, and okay. So my wife has been, since they put her in a Mary Walker, she has been kind of spontaneously sitting wherever she happens to be. So she's sitting in a ghost chair and falling her butt. And that's been making it hard to take her out and visit her. So I drove to what's called Hearts for Hospice in Springfield and got a used walker for $30 and then tested it. And then it turns out, because it's not adjustable, the seat height isn't adjustable, it's not going to work. But now I know what to order on Amazon. So, it's just an errand that.
All right.
And now I'm trying to move the window onto the other laptop screen, and it's like in that perfect spot where I can't do either. I can grab onto the window. I'm going to drop out and come back.
All right. I'll be here.
And Oregon Surgery Center. Our phone hours are now 8
Is
a.m.
there some kind of right-click thing I can do?
You have is that your phone in the background?
Our patient portal for easy.
Yeah, I'm on hold to make my urology appointment.
Got it.
In the portal, you can view
Okay, I'm going to close the window and start over. Okay,
All right.
be back in a second.
Request appointments, ask questions, and more.
Oh, wait. When I went to close the window, it moved the window. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, so I can move that over here.
If you would like us to hold your position in the queue and call you back when the next agent is available, please press 1 now.
There, I'll call me back now.
Press 2 or continue to hold.
Okay, cancel the lead. There, now I can look at you and be on the right screen. So I think I pushed 1, right?
Thank you for using our callback service. We will maintain your place in queue and return your call as soon as an agent becomes available. The number we will return your call to is 92838.
You'll want to give out your phone number to everyone.
1. If this is correct, press 1. If you would like to enter it, just thank you.
Maybe I'll want to clip out the beginning of this.
When you finally step out of the bathroom, because nothing says "I care" like a well-groomed man. Give the gift of.
I was listening to Joe Rogan.
All right.
Who has an ad for Manscaped? So yeah.
Well, important.
Real life today here. Oh, now they're calling me back, of course.
All right.
Oh, well, a little personal business.
No problem.
Hi, this is Pierce.
Hi, what can I help you with?
You called me to make an appointment for myology follow-up.
Okay. We'll give him a little bit of privacy. Working on, well, actually I can just show and share. Let's see. Let me actually bring it up. Okay. Let me share it. All right. So we have a new version of DMedia out to support all the DOGE projects. We have added an art section. So right now it mostly just has awesome images. Thanks to Shell. So what we're probably going to do, well, not probably, we're going to do as well is we're going to add, and for some reason the filtering got broken, so I'm going to have to fix that. But we're going to add, it's going to be partly fun and partly for supporting projects or supporting research and projects. So for instance, pulled a bunch of data from Pierce's tweets and over the last year. And so now that now that he's overseas, we talked about creating some articles. So I've helped him by writing up some articles based on that material. So I'm working through that right now. But he has a ton of supporting data, snap screenshots, and various other images. So I'm going to work on incorporating that in to the art section so other people can use them as sources. Let me let Pierce know. Ping me when you off your call. Yeah. So we do have fully supporting contribution capabilities. So anybody that wants to contribute can. All they have to do is create an account at my DM. Let me sign out, show you what it looks like. Oops. So my DM will give you a couple options, show you the pricing, and once you sign in, the best way, easiest way, if you haven't already created an account, is to click on Start Contributing. I'll actually bring up an account, the ability to create an account. You go ahead and fill that out. And then once you do that, you'll be able to sign in, which I'm going to sign in with my Google account. And then you can contribute. And all you have to do is then click back on the contribute button, and then you can contribute one of 4 types of media. So, all are good. And then if you've done a lot of, now I'm an editor, so you're going to be able to see everything. But here's the combination of all the work that we have out there already. Quite a bit of it is art, some of it is stories. So as a contributor, you'll be able to see your stuff. We're moving ahead. So subscriptions are not turned on yet, but they will be soon. And that's where we're at now. So let me check back in on Pierce. See how he's doing. Oh, yeah, he's muted. So I'll just leave him up until he comes unmuted. Okay, so let me see if there's anybody out there that wants to talk. Oh, yeah, he's muted. So I'll just leave him up. Yeah. Nobody knows that we're streaming right now. So I have to admit I'm a bit burnt. So we'll record this for posterity, but I'm not going to be too worried about breaking any analytics records here. So I have a GOP meeting tonight. We're going forward on helping out the GOP parties in Silicon Valley. I'm working with Alameda right now, and we'll be working with others here pretty soon. And that's kind of it. I don't have any more updates. Normally, this would have been the Aladdin update. So since we already did a couple hours with him this morning, this is just gravy at this point. Let me see. Did the message even go out? It was supposed to go out. Oh, there it is. It did. Yeah, nobody's online right now. It's all good. Everyone got burnt out from this morning.
Hey, I'm done with my personal prep.
Cool. So, did you have anything that was screaming, burning that you wanted to talk about?
I do not. Mostly
Okay.
personal stuff around here, and I am grinding through all the 990 data I got through. I'm deduplicating the addresses right now.
Cool.
Slight problem of running out of memory, but we'll see how that goes. So that's happening while we talk. I am using 709% of the CPU, so that's cool. The memory is, let's see, it looks like 8 gigabytes. So while I was gone, my computer crashed. So that's disturbing.
Sweet.
I may have to, but since Grok 4.1 is free for a while, maybe I can have it figure out the memory problem.
I have stopped using Grok code completely.
Oh, really?
It's garbage. It was hallucinating like crazy. It was giving me really bad results. It was being kind of obnoxious, giving me attitude, which was not appreciated. It was a very Chat GPT 4.1 behavior. I stopped using that as well because it was just it would actually set me back. I would be less productive using it. So unfortunately,
I have run into that.
What's that?
I have run into it giving me bad code and things like that, but I kind of religiously checkpoint in Git now.
And I do as well. Yeah.
And say, no, don't do that, and so on. And I have learned to give it small increments at a time. And I also found that Grok Code Fast wasn't giving me as good answers as regular Grok. So sometimes if it's a complicated problem, I would drop back to Grok 4 and have it use that. And then have it figure out the problem. And then I would tell Grok Code what to do.
Interesting. Yeah, I practice that as well. I do not go very far before committing, and that's just good practice. No matter what you're doing. I mean, it's you make too many changes at once, it's very likely you're going to mess something up. So you want to build on success or on progress. But I noticed actually right after this is actually a couple of weeks ago. It was maybe coincidental, but Musk came out and said that they had done a big update on Grok code, and immediately it was useless. I couldn't use it anymore. It was just
really?
Yeah, I just stopped. Not that it stopped working, but its functionality just went off a cliff. It just didn't work for me anymore. It started giving me tons of hallucinations, and maybe it's the way that I'm using it. I'm using it through Cursor, so maybe I'm going through some filter or some backdoor or some specific version of Grok code, but it's unusable. It's unfortunately, because I was having really good results with it. It was almost up to the level of Cursor or of Claude, which is pretty impressive. So, but it's just I've stopped using it. I haven't used it in weeks. I'd love to go back and try it again, but it just gave me such a bad experience of it wasn't a couple hours. It was probably an hour me trying to work through it, jumping back between different models. And it was useless. It was pretty close to the experience I would expect from using GPT 3.5, which is pretty low quality. It can do really basic stuff, but it, you just use it for really basic chatbot kind of functionality. You don't use it for anything else. That's the experience I had with it after that, for whatever it's worth. Maybe it's just my particular implementation through Cursor.
One thing I had to do for this project is I wrote this document called Architecture in Markdown.
Yeah.
And that laid out how all the code was structured.
Right.
And that helps a lot. But I can only give Grok code like one thing at a time. I can't give it like this giant to-do list. So I have to do that and then a good new task.
Never a good idea.
And that kind of resets its brain to be like, oh, we're working on this now. And it will forget about the architecture stuff. I've told about it told it about it before,
Sure.
and then I'll have to remind it. So like for all this processing, I figured out along the way that with DuckDB, you can have many producers reading from the database, but you can really only have one write thread
Sure.
at a time. And so I had to have like a producer / consumer model. And then along the way, I also figured out I needed what I call it. So there's a feeder thread that figures out the next batch of data to do. And then it goes and puts it on queues. And then the producers pull an item off the queue and then go do the fetch related to that and package up all the data to be saved to the database. And they put that back on the save queue, basically. And then the consumer pulls things off the save queue and batches them up and combines them like, oh, I'm going to save 10 charity objects at once. And it does all of that in this thing that I call the pending database context.
Okay.
And Grok will continually forget about that architecture.
Huh. Well, I mean, you're working with, an intern, and you're giving them tasks. So anytime you're working with somebody, giving them a plan to work by, and to track progress and to double check work completed. I mean, that's always good practice. So I had an experience.
Right. They're like a stupid intern that doesn't learn.
Well, a really smart intern that has really bad short-term memory. But I had kind of an interesting, similar experience working at a company where I was rebuilding a storage array. It was insanely complex work. And because I had experience with it and I understood the fundamentals of fiber channel and what I was, the strategy of what I was trying to do, it was a lot easier, obviously, for me to keep things straight. But for the staff, for the most part, didn't even really understand a lot of storage technology, but they were IT people. I was really the only experienced because I came on as a consultant to work with them. So anyway, long story short, we'd have to do these change control events, and typically their change control was a month, a couple hours once a month. And so I'd have to get 5 or 6 people to work with me to do stuff like moving fiber channel around, like moving a switch out of a rack. I mean, I'd have to give people a lot of parallel tasks. It was really difficult to do, and I'd have to give them extremely detailed instructions. Now, that's not exactly accurate, specifically the same as here, but if I didn't coordinate it with them and have a document and have them have their own documentation, like prompts and a master strategy plan for the day, it was chaos. They totally fucked things up because they didn't quite understand why they were doing it. They didn't understand the context of it. So I had to keep them on track with that. And it's very similar to what we're doing here. We just have to do it over and over again because the model does not understand the bigger picture and probably never will, because otherwise you'd have to have some kind of cache of memory of the larger overall plan of what you're trying to work on specifically for a project. I guess that's technically possible.
That's what I did with my architecture document is I did that. And I also had Grok write its own version, and I saved that. And sometimes when I want to restart, I'll say, go read grok.md. I'll go and read it. I also tell it to maintain the doc strings about the things it's making.
Right. But
which both helps me and that helps it later on. It will like I've seen it updating the doc strings of like, oh, I have to make this note.
Right. Well, and that's good when it remembers to do that. But I've noticed, and I'm interested if you've noticed as well, that if models with very large context windows, let's say 1 million or more, it's useless. I can't use that because if I try to load it up, like with actual 1 million tokens, there's no way it's going to keep it straight. It's going to pick like a couple things out of that, focus on that, and ignore everything else. So having that large of a context window seems to be actually counterproductive. you assume that it's going to be smart enough to balance the priorities of that everything that you put in that context window, and it just does not happen in practice. At least I haven't seen any of the models that I've worked with so far. And so the last thing you want it to do is to decide, if you gave it this big architectural design, that it decides to pick one or two things out of that design, and you don't know what they are to focus on, and that's its guiding light for managing the prompt that you just gave it. So, so I think I've learned the hard way to not do that. If I give it a plan, I tell it that we're going to focus on this part of the plan, and the plan is more for me and to keep track of what's done and what's planned to do in the future, and to make sure that when I'm working with model and I'm double checking its work, that I understand where we are in the process rather than read all this and try to keep track of it all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be more effective, at least in my experience. I just had really bad, like for instance, I created, which I refer back to, this reference document of how to run a startup from beginning to beginning to funding. So from like idea, concept, all the different things you could do, and obviously everything's variable, but all the different things that you should or could be doing. And for a little while, I was actually trying to use that with a very large context window model and say, this is my plan. This is where I am in the plan. And it was mayhem, chaos. It would start focusing on the wrong part of the document. It never knew where we were because it was meant to be an architectural design. There was no like, I hadn't documented like where we are in the plan or in the architectural implementation. It was just a rigorous design that I was always going to follow, and it kept getting confused. It kept thinking like we were on step 300 instead of step 50, or randomly would say, now we're on step 25. It's like, what? Why'd you pick that? It was like having a conversation with a drunk person. It was just constantly all over the place. It was just
there's a mode in Kilo called Architect, where you have it go and investigate and then check with you before it actually does anything. And that's helpful because it usually comes to the wrong conclusion.
Right. Something I've tried doing, I know you're using a different IDE setup, so I'm using Cursor, and it has three types of behaviors now. It has agent, plan, and ask. The plan is, I think, they're trying to build essentially a new feature that will do essentially what we're talking about. It's kind of useless, and it creates a plan, a markdown plan, but you can't get access to it. So that's it's like hidden somewhere in the bowels of how the tool works. So that's completely useless. But I switch back and forth between the ask and the agent, so that it doesn't go crazy. So as I'm starting to build on something, I do the ask, so that it doesn't go off and try to do something real fast. And then to actually implement steps of it, then I drop back to the agent after it's kind of been planned out. But yeah, I don't know, each to his own. But the reason why I brought this up, and I was interested in your feedback or if you had any thoughts on this, is that I had mentioned that I went over Steven's tweets over 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a ton of material that he's posted, like Michelle, like Brian, like a lot of other people, that they're essentially using X as a database or a storage database storage device for their work, and they're not really keeping it anywhere else, which is works okay, I guess, but it doesn't give you the ability to do other things with it because it's kind of tied up in this one-off platform. X doesn't exactly make it easy for you to possibly intentionally to move that information around or to make it easily accessible. I figure out ways of doing it, but it's not always bulletproof. And anyway, so what I did is I grabbed most of, probably not every single one, but most of his material off of X for 2025, and I saved them all as a huge markdown file. You can see here with all the metadata and the content and the images. So now I have like a really interesting like timeline of all his stuff in a markdown document. And then from that, I used Claude. And I actually went through and did some data analysis and looked for different subjects. And anyway, long story short, I created 18 different what I think are topics or documents based on a topic that are from all his work. So anyway, the thing that I had a question on, I was interested in your thinking, is that there's a bunch of placeholders that are put in here. So for different things like USA spending homepage screenshot or search results showing Cellstar corporation contracts, stuff like that. So I have all these different images that I'm going to need to track down that are in his tweets to go along with the text that's been generated from his tweets. I did this so quickly, I probably didn't talk to you about it, but I was talking to Michelle about how to get her, because she offered to help us with art on D Media. So what I did is I'd love to get your thinking on this. This is kind of where I'm going with this conversation, is that I've created an art section on D Media. So initially I just grabbed a bunch of her stuff, but what I want to add, it's freaking out. What I want to add is a lot of the images from Aladdin stuff. Oh crap. It's losing its mind. Uh-oh. Chrome is breaking. I've lost all. Can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Chrome on my laptop is completely broken. It's all corrupted. I can still see images and you can still hear me, but let me see if I can start recode on my phone so that we don't lose the session. But anyway, the thing I was thinking through, and you're going on this little mental thinking journey with me, is that all the images that are in Steven's tweets and probably Brian's as well, they all have a lot of purpose. A lot of them are screenshots of specific data to back up the point they're trying to make. I'd love to bring that into the art section of D Media and make it accessible not only to their articles that we'll be writing, hopefully, more and more, so we can reuse them and other people perhaps can reuse them rather than being just a one-off. So we'll need to give them like a good description of what it is. Ideally in the future, maybe even a hyperlink where it came from. Mm-hmm. That'd be even better. But then also, I guess just that. So does it sound like a good idea? Am I like losing my mind with the whole art section thing? Is it
art's fun for people to watch, especially if they're less into the Rebel Alliance and they're just like cool art.
I kind of thought that might be a little bit of an interesting,
everybody likes that candy.
Yeah. Because Michelle is doing a lot of fun stuff with her art, and I think there's a lot more she could do. So having her posting her art someplace where she might be able to monetize it would be kind of nice, at least to her benefit. See if I can join this on my phone so that when I restart this thing, it's not going to completely go crazy. Let me mute myself. Sorry about that. All right, look at that. How cool am I? All right, so let me kill Chrome. Yeah, Chrome started doing this. It's a version of Chrome is not happy. See if I can bring Chrome back up. Let's switch back. So I think the general thing is you thought the art section is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Yeah, I apologize. I meant to talk to you about it beforehand. I just kind of had an impulsive idea and just like totally jammed with it. So I'm glad you I'm glad you like it. Normally, now that we've kind of let me switch back now. Sorry. God. Right when I tried to kill the browser, a freaking low battery thing came up, which kept me from being able to slide it up. That's why it flipped out. I thought I could be cool and not mute it first. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I've got this interesting new option to art. Oh, also, I added a bunch of functionality to the contribute section. So I'm not sure if you've had a chance to check that out. Yeah, I believe you did create your account on DMedia, right?
I think. Yeah, I did. And you made me an editor. Said.
Yeah. So there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done. I think I've gotten a little bit aggressive on the commits, but essentially, as an editor, what you can do is you go into the editing section. You'll see the 4 different types of media that you can create. As a contributor, then you can then review. There's a review panel. You can review your own work and basically edit parts of it. So stories, you can edit the content, add or remove images, things like that. And then as an editor, you can see everything. So as a contributor and as an editor, depending on what you can see, you can publish or depublish things too. So you can work on something. So I'd say it's pretty much complete, but there's a few like DevOps kind of bugs. So like instead of like having like essentially for a contributor or an editor, if you're making a bunch of changes, then every button you hit or every section you save, it does a git commit, which is a bit aggressive. And then obviously you're not going to see the results if you're using the application. You're not going to. I've set it so that it's actually very decentralized. So you're not going to actually see the results until it rebuilds. So it doesn't hold it in memory. I've had some problems with, especially on Vercel. It doesn't seem to. It gets a bit confused. The difference between what's actually out on GitHub, the storage, and what's actually in memory. So I'm trying to get it to only read data from memory. So like the roles and different things are actually pulled from there. Makes it kind of extra secure. It's kind of nice. There's some cool features to it, but unfortunately it takes a minute for it to rebuild. So anyway, bit of how things are working, but when you get some extra bandwidth, I'd love to shoot the breeze about how we could improve some of the functionality, but most of it is working. There's a few bugs here and there like that. That's more of an operational, enhancement. It definitely does work. So for instance, if somebody goes out and creates a DMedia account, it will, as an editor, if I go over and take a look at, because essentially when you create an account, you just have free access. You don't have any rights. So if they ask, or we know we want to give them rights, then we have to go in and as editor and change the role. That's also one of the panels now. So you can change somebody from basically no access to contributor to an editor, one of those values. But when you do that, it will automatically check to see if the account exists on DMedia, the application, as opposed to DMedia Clerk, because that's where you create the account. So it automatically grabs it and picks it up. But then you have to wait for the application to rebuild again. So a bit of a lag in some of this stuff. So there's probably some improvements that can be made. Right now, when there's not a lot of activity, it's all kind of doable. There's only about 20 people that have accounts right now. Just cool that there's that many people, or maybe it's about more like 12 anyway, but more than a handful. But when it gets up to a couple hundred or a couple thousand, these kinds of problems probably will, we'll have to figure out better ways of caching and possibly doing some of this in memory. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure which is the best approach. I think I've been coding too much too fast for me to kind of stand back and give it a good DevOps operational, look over. So your lobes will be very much invited to participate in helping figure that out. But that's kind of a good future problem to have. Hopefully within a couple weeks we'll have a couple hundred. If we have 1,000, that would be amazing. Users or people with accounts, but it will depend on a lot of different things happening. So anyway, it's a bit of a verbal diarrhea. So I'm going to try to work some more on finishing the first one of Stephen's articles and get it published, and then I'll probably be done for the day. I don't think I have anything more in me.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, the couple of hours, I didn't realize it went that long. It kind of drained me, even though I was mostly just talking and not really 100% paying attention because I was coding in parallel, but it was very mentally exhausting. So one of the things that we should, and any ideas on how to kind of divide and conquer be appreciated, that we have a bunch of video content now and some audio. I assume Stephen's space got recorded. Not sure, actually. Maybe it did. But there's a lot of material that we could be using and publishing, both on DMedia and then also on X. And we could start. There's nothing holding us back from starting to create podcasts from the audio that we're generating as well. So just one of us has to make it a priority. I'm not sure there's much. Well, actually, this is a good question, and maybe this is a good way to end on, and probably maybe not something you have an answer for. Do you know of any other features that we should add to DMedia at this point? We have a subscription. It's just not turned on because as soon as I get essentially the approval to operate as business, I have my friend is giving me access to his business location. So that's going to be the address. So as soon as that paperwork is filed, probably tomorrow, then we can turn on the subscription with Stripe. And that's all configured. So we have the clerk account for auth. I'm using the authorization is all manually built on the using Next, but we don't really have that complicated of what people need access to other than their material or all the material or nothing. I mean, that's kind of simple. Auth, there's not much there, and we have the contribute stuff set up. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm talking rather than letting you answer. Anything that burning that you think we need to build or fix or?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Have you had a chance to poke around on different parts of the app much lately?
No, not really.
Maybe that's a good to do. If I can give you that as something to work on, is just to poke around the app and um, see if you get any ideas of what can be fixed or bugs you find.
Yeah, I can't do that today because I passed my brain
No,
drain
it's
day.
fine. It's fine. Yeah, no, I'm not.
But let me make a note to put that for tomorrow morning. I'll do that. So you
Yes,
want
please.
to be the audit the media site.
Yeah, audit based. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So, yeah, I think it's been under development the last couple of weeks. It's been pretty hot and heavy as far as adding stuff. I'm going to try to actually one of the things
Oh, do you have Google Analytics integrated?
it is, yeah,
Okay.
and Vercel as well, Vercel and Google, um, and yeah, we've had some visitors. I think we're up to a couple hundred now, so which is impressive with almost no advertising. Um, but uh, something that we definitely need to do is we need to start adding CI/CD. The CD is actually I'm saying that wrong. We have CD definitely because it's being built, it's being deployed. Um, but what we need is we need. I have some basic dev tests. I'm linting. I'm doing type checking, and I'm running Prettier, which is really basic stuff. And it's clearing out a lot of crap that normally would go into the code base, so that's good. But the stage, um, you know, stage type um, integration type tests, I have not made a single one, which is making me very nervous since there's a lot of complexity in it now and there's a lot of stuff interacting. I've mostly kept the README up to date, although I just realized I didn't update it today. The README is mostly a good guide on the major features and how things interact. There are some good markdowns that I've kept that were big changes. So like uh, the oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Anyway, there's a couple of there's probably 4 or 5 good readmes in there now that were big major changes. So like the contribution logic for the most part is in a README, um, and I added a mermaid diagram as well because the logic flow was getting a bit convoluted. Um, although I didn't update it today either, so I'll do both those things before I log off. But we need we're going to need. I am running Playwright to scrape X tweets, but I'm not running Playwright for E to E tests. So integration tests and E to E tests are something that you and I could start picking off over the next couple weeks and just start slowly adding them. I'm sure there's a ton of hidden bugs or misplaced code or stale code or um, duplicated functions and bullshit like that that's just hiding in there that because I was going so fast. I made a big effort to make sure it didn't happen, but it's you go this fast with AI coding, it's inevitable that it's going to happen. But anyway, that was a bit of a brain dump, but hopefully that kind of made sense. So
It did. Well, I'll know tomorrow. I'll probably have to listen to this tomorrow because, like I said, once I hit the wall, I hit the wall.
I understood.
It just doesn't work.
Yep, I get it. Well, with that, thank you for joining. We've seen each other's face. We've been listening to our voices for over 3 hours today, so that's probably 2 hours too long. All right. Well, I appreciate all the help and all the work you're doing, and I look forward to doing more. And it's going to be exciting when we get to turn on the subscriptions because then I feel like we can get a bit more aggressive in trying to get people to come to the site. So hopefully tomorrow that the business side, the legal side will be up. I actually created terms of service and privacy notice. It's pretty extensive. So those are already ready to go, ready to rock and roll. So anyway, I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful evening.
Okay, you too. Bye
All
bye.
right.